Today on Personal Injury Court.
I see a woman running toward my car. I'm in rescue mode.
The first thing I see is the defendant's car at a stoplight, and as I tried to get in, the car just speeds off.
I actually thought she was a lady of the night, to put it nicely, Your Honor.
This car is driving me away with it, and I land here.
I imagine you were petrified.
Yeah, I had multiple injuries.
You are seeking a total of $200,000.
Yes, Your Honor.
God is my witness, Your Honor. Lord knows I haven't done anything wrong. I don't even know why.
You haven't done anything wrong?
Judge Gino Brogdon spent 10 years on the bench ruling on cases worth billions of dollars. Now he presides over some of the largest claims in TV history. This is Personal Injury Court.
Good day, everyone. This is the matter of Porter versus Frazier. It's my understanding from the documents that you filed with this court, Ms. Porter, that you are seeking $40,000 in medical bills, $20,000 for future medical bills, and $140,000 for past and future pain and suffering, for a total of $200,000 for injuries that you sustained when the defendant dragged you with his car when you were seeking help. Is that true?
Yes, Your Honor.
And Mr. Frazier, it's your position, based on the documents you filed with this court, that you didn't know what was going on. You just pulled away. Is that true?
You're absolutely right, Your Honor.
And her injuries are her fault?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now let's get into the legal sauce. Now, Ms. Porter, tell me about how this evening came to be.
Well, sir, I am a real estate agent. I've been doing real estate for 2 years now. Been doing very well.
Okay.
Love what I do. And on this particular evening, I was at a dinner party held by one of my top clients who just actually purchased a gorgeous 3-bedroom, 2-bath loft in the
So this
city.
is kind of a business dinner?
Yes.
Okay.
They had a couple of friends and family there, but colleagues as well. I met some great people. I even met a wonderful guy there as well. So I had a good night.
So you even met a potential boo, as my son would say.
Possibly, sir.
Okay. Now, Mr. Frazier, you were out that night too, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, what led you to be in the same vicinity as Miss Porter?
Well, Your Honor, I am a professional driver.
Okay.
I have actors, athletes
sir.
in my vehicle. I've been married now for 32 years.
Yes, sir.
Have 4
Congratulations.
have 4 kids,
Yes,
8
sir.
grandchildren. I am a deacon.
Yes, sir.
So, like I say, I just happened to be...
So you're working that night too as a professional driver?
I had dropped off my last fare and was on my way home.
Okay. Now, Miss Porter, you are finishing dinner, you leave the restaurant, then what happens?
I'm on my way home. I didn't live too far from where the dinner party was, so I decided, you know what, tonight is great. I'm feeling good. I'm gonna walk home. And while I'm walking, I noticed 2 men behind me walking as well. I noticed they started to yell things at me to get my attention. I tried to ignore them.
What kind of things were they yelling?
Cat calls, honestly, things I can't say in this courtroom.
Okay.
That I won't say in this courtroom.
I'm sorry you went through that.
Thank you so much. So I'm trying to now, as fast as I can, get away from
So
that.
you're starting to hurry up a bit.
Yeah, I'm starting to walk a little faster, and as my steps get faster, their steps get faster.
Okay.
So at this point, they're chasing me.
I imagine you were petrified.
I am scared to death at this point. And the first thing I see is the defendant's car at a stoplight. So I ran straight to him. I'm in front of the car and I'm waving my hands, trying to get his attention.
So, Mr. Frazier, do you remember her running toward your car?
Your Honor, I had my music extremely loud. Like
Okay.
I say, I was on my way home. I looked up and saw the lady, and that's about it. The light changed, and I kept going.
Now, she said she was screaming. You didn't hear her? What were you screaming? And listen, give it to me the way you tried to give it to him that night. What'd you say?
Sir, I'm so scared. Can you help me? Please help me. I'm screaming. I'm yelling. I'm trying to get his attention. It wasn't working. He seemed to be ignoring me.
And you didn't hear that?
I had the music as loud as it could go. I'm a Motown guy.
Yes, sir, me too.
So I could not hear anything but maybe the Temptations.
Temps, tops, and spinners.
That's it. So
Yes,
I did
sir.
I did not see or hear anything.
He seemed to be ignoring me, so I then ran to the back side of the driver's side.
Okay.
And I tried to get in the car that way. Maybe he would just let
Did you
me
bang
in.
on the windows
No,
or
I
anything?
just tugged on the door handle to get
Okay.
in.
So once you grabbed the car, then what happened?
Next thing I know, I grab the handle and the car speeds off.
So did you let it go? Did you hang on? What happened?
I literally, I didn't know what to do, so I held on for dear life at this point because I don't know what to do. This car is driving me away with it.
So you're dragging on this car as you hold on to the handle?
Yes. Yes, sir.
You submitted an exhibit with your materials. Let's take a look at it because I want you to walk me through this.
Of course.
Would you come over to the monitor? Now, this is where all this happened that night, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, where were you walking from?
Right here is the street that I was walking on, as well as the two men.
Okay.
We came up this street, and when I saw the defendant's car, this is the route that I took to get in front of the car to get his attention, so I landed here.
Show me where you started the screaming, trying to get his attention, and tell me what you were saying.
I started the screaming here, and I was just yelling, "Help me, please! They're chasing me! Someone help me!" I yelled that all the way till I got to the front, still waving my hands.
And Mr. Frazier, you didn't hear any of this.
No, not at all.
What happened next?
So that's when I then tried to go to the back side of the car, driver's side, to open the door. At this point, he's heading in this direction when the light changes, and I'm still at this back door. So then he drives off, heading up the street in this direction, and I land here.
And you're from the time where the red car is. Now, Mr. Frazier, that's your car there, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
From where his car is up until you land, you're hanging on to the side of this car?
I'm hanging on, yes, Your Honor.
You may go back to your podium. Mr. Frazier, she's running up almost in your lap. That must have been some good music.
The music was up so loud. Like I say, I looked up, I saw her in front of my car.
And what were you thinking when you saw her?
I was kind of afraid because of the neighborhood.
But you know, I understand playing your music loud. It fills your ears.
Yes, sir.
But your eyes weren't filled with music.
No, and like I say, I saw her for the time she was in front of my car, and that was it. She was out of my view. Light changed, I took off.
So you had no idea that she was hanging on to your car?
None whatsoever.
How did you not? I can't.
Coming up.
I woke up. The doctors, the nurses told me that I had been dragged
She
100
she looked dangerous. You got to realize what time of night it was. She
dangerous.
looked dangerous.
You thought you might be getting robbed by a woman in heels with a purse.
I had a head injury, rib injury, as well as my right wrist, as you can see today. It hinders me from being able to do my job the way I need to. And I was just yelling, "Help me, please! They're chasing me! Someone help me!" When I then tried to go to the back side of the car, driver's side, to open the door. At this point, he's heading in this direction when the light changes.
So you're dragging on this car as you hold on to the handle?
I land here.
So, Ms. Frazier, you land where this X is.
Yes, sir.
Did you realize that you were hurt at that point?
No, at that point, I just remember waking up in the hospital. When I woke up, the doctors, the nurses told me that I had been dragged
She
100
she looked dangerous. You got to realize what time of night it was. She
dangerous.
looked dangerous.
Mr. Frazier, Miss Porter is probably soaking wet, 120 pounds, right? Tell me how that was dangerous. Oh, and by the way, Miss Porter, did you have a purse that day?
Yes, this was actually what it looked like.
Okay, so she's running at you with a purse. Tell me how that was dangerous to you being an experienced driver.
As I said, I see a woman waving her hands and moving her lips.
Now, wait a minute now. You told me that you did not see her, right?
But I
when
thought
she's
that was
beside your car.
No,
So
in
clearly
front of
you
me.
saw.
So either you saw her
No, in
or
front of
you
me.
didn't.
No, I saw her in front of me.
Okay.
Like I say, she was there for a minute.
And when you first
She
saw
looked a
her,
little
she's
disheveled.
waving her hands, right? Mm-hmm. She's waving
It
her
looked like
hands.
she had a weapon in her hand.
You thought the
Wow.
purse was a weapon?
I didn't know what it was, Your Honor.
Okay.
And like I said, she
You thought you might be getting robbed by a woman in heels with a purse.
I didn't know.
Seriously.
No.
So, Ms. Porter, direct your comments to me. Let me get to the bottom of this.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Let's say she didn't grab the car. Did you have any concern that she's back there by herself?
No, because in that particular neighborhood, you always got women out there by themselves.
Say that again.
In that particular neighborhood, you always have women out there working at that time of night.
You talking about working women, right?
Absolutely, Your Honor.
Now, you're not telling this court that you thought she was working, not as a realtor, but the oldest profession in the world.
I actually thought she was a lady of the night, to put it nicely, Your Honor.
What? Okay.
So, Ms. Porter.
Next.
I was raised by an old man, so I tend to be chivalrous. The chivalrous guy stops, right? Mr. Frazier, do you look back and say, boy, I wish I had just stopped and picked her up?
No.
Wow.
I've invited Dr. Catherine Panel to give us some insight from a medical perspective.
When our body senses a great deal of stress or fear, it triggers a part of the brain called the amygdala.
And does that explain why she held on to the car?
So scared, can you help me? Please help me. I'm screaming. I just tugged on the door handle to get it. Grab the handle and the car speeds off.
So you're dragging on this car as you hold on to the handle?
Yes.
The next thing you remember, you're in the hospital.
Yes, Your Honor.
And what was hurt?
Apparently, I had multiple injuries. I had a head injury, rib injury, as well as my right wrist, as you can see today.
What's been the worst for you?
Not only my wrist, because it hinders me from being able to do my job the way I need to. Also, too, it's been quite stressful on me psychologically.
Tell me about that.
I'm actually seeing a psychiatrist because at this point, I'm afraid of people in general. And I can't afford to be afraid of people because that's what I do for a living.
How does a realtor function when they're afraid of people?
It's extremely hard. And that's what I'm trying to get through at this point.
Mr. Frazier, if you put this story in reverse, do you look back and say, boy, I wish I had just stopped and picked her up?
No.
Wow.
Because I had no idea that it was anything to pick up, anybody to pick up.
Now, I tend to be, my dad was born in 1910, so I was raised by an old man, so I tend to be chivalrous. The chivalrous guy stops, right?
Everybody says chivalry is dead now, Your Honor.
What?
Well, chivalry is not dead.
Oh, okay. You've got to be kidding me.
Miss Porter, I wish that had been my car because you would have gotten in the back and I would have taken you home.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you so much.
And the reason I do that is that's what a real man does.
Yes, Your Honor.
It's a dangerous neighborhood, not to mention that 3 years earlier, I'd also been carjacked in that particular area.
So you had some prior experience?
In the hospital a couple of days with a concussion, lacerations from being hit in the head with a gun. I've also had to go to counseling.
All right.
I almost quit driving after being carjacked in that same neighborhood.
So you were frightened too?
I was scared. I didn't know what she wanted.
Wow.
Now,
You
for me
do
to stand
understand
up in
and-
this court and tell you that I was afraid as a man, there's no way I would have left that young lady on the side of the road. God would not let me do that.
So
But
tell
he
me
did
this.
that.
God-fearing man.
But he did that.
Lord is on my side.
Mr. Frazier,
Yes, Your Honor.
it seems like that kind of thing. That is, I would have never left you
Never.
if I knew what was going on. You need to say to her.
I'm sorry. God is my witness, Your Honor. Dear Heavenly Father, please, if I've done anything wrong, please forgive me for what I've done because Lord knows I haven't done anything wrong. I don't even know why I'm
You
here.
haven't done anything
God
wrong?
is my witness.
I've got to decide whether you are legally wrong. Obviously, we're talking about the other things because it isn't simply a legal problem. This is a human problem. Now, Ms. Porter, in your materials, you're asking this court to give you $40,000 for your past medical bills, $20,000 for your future medical expenses, but the thing that catches my eye is $140,000 for pain and suffering past and future. Tell me how that's been for you.
It's honestly an ongoing process. Again, I had to see a psychiatrist to just get me through it. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Ms. Porter, to understand the emotional component of your injuries, I've invited Dr. Catherine Panel to give us some insight from a medical perspective. So, Sheriff Matt, will you retrieve Dr. Panel from the hallway?
Yes, Your Honor.
Doctor, come on in and make yourself comfortable.
Thank you.
For the record, state your name.
Catherine Panel.
What does fear do to the brain?
Your Honor, I brought an animation that can kind of help explain it a little bit better.
Okay, can you walk us through it, please?
Sure. This is the brain. When our body senses a great deal of stress or fear, it triggers a part of the brain called the amygdala.
Okay.
The amygdala controls fear and emotions. When this is triggered, it sends out signals to other parts of the brain like the prefrontal cortex. All these areas of the brain, they get the signal, they begin working together, and then send out a mass message to the body in the form of epinephrine or adrenaline. Then this flight or fight mode, the survival mode, kicks in to get to the safest place, to get out of danger.
The verdict is in.
You expected this night to be a good walk home after a great business dinner, and some guys start chasing you. You run toward a car where you expected a man to rescue you.
Yes, Your Honor.
And he did not. He drove away and dragged you to these injuries. You, Mr. Frazier, you didn't know what was going on.
Not at all.
You're on your way home,
Yes.
trying to end the business day, and when she came near your car, you just hit the gas and kept going.
A lot of the things that she talked about also affected me.
Folks, I think I've heard enough. I'm ready to render my decision.
All these areas of the brain, they get the signal, they begin working together, and then send out a mass message to the body in the form of epinephrine or adrenaline. Then this flight or fight mode, the survival mode, kicks in to get to the safest place, to get out of danger.
And does that explain why she held on to the car?
Sure. At that time, she was in survival mode. Her body had completely taken over. She wasn't thinking. Her judgment was clouded, and she just thought, well, if I grab this handle and I stay here, surely he'll let me in the car and I'll be safe.
So fear really can make us do irrational, maybe even superhuman things.
Absolutely.
Doctor, thank you. You may be excused.
Thank you.
Folks, I think I've heard enough. I'm ready to render my decision. In every personal injury case, the plaintiff has to prove that the defendant did something wrong and that that wrong caused your injuries. Here, Ms. Porter, you are suing Mr. Frazier for $40,000 in past medical bills, $20,000 for future medical bills, and $140,000 for past and future pain and suffering, for a total of $200,000. You expected this night to be a good walk home after a great business dinner, and some guys start chasing you. You run toward a car where you expected a man to rescue you.
Yes, Your Honor.
And he did not. He drove away and dragged you to these injuries. You, Mr. Frazier, you didn't know what was going on.
Not at all.
You're on your way home,
Yes.
trying to end the business day. And when she came near your car, you just hit the gas and kept going. But I get ticklish because you gave me some conflicting testimony about when, how, and whether you saw her. Because, see, as a man, it kicks in for me. If I see a woman running toward my car, I'm in rescue mode, not flee mode. She would have gotten in the back of my car, and I'd go and run those guys over. But the law requires me to find a legal responsibility. While I think as a man, morally, ethically, from chivalry, you should have stopped and let her in your car, the law does not require you to do that. And because you're in an emergency situation, you can't make someone be a good Samaritan. So it is painful for me to find against you because he had no legal responsibility
None.
to stop for you. So I find that you did not prove that he did anything, and I emphasize legally wrong, and I find in your favor. That is my final judgment, and this matter is adjourned.
What?
Yeah.